We're going back into the world of Disney and Pixar's Academy Award-winning film, Monsters, Inc. in the upcoming series, Monsters at Work. Yes, make some noise for Monsters at Work. Yeah. And so today we actually happen to have two very special guests who have some stories that they can share with us all about the making of the series and exactly what we can expect when it launches on Disney+. So to give us a first look inside of the series, please help me welcome from Disney Television Animation, executive producers Gannaway and producer Ferrell Barron. Make some noise.
All right, can everybody hear me? Oh, great.
Hey, D23, how are ya? So who here, is this their third day at D23? You guys are monsters.
Was anybody in the big room for the Monsters, Inc. Disney Plus bit? A couple people? All right, good.
All right. So so as he was just saying, who's a big fan of Monsters Incorporated? Okay. And have you heard of Monsters at Work that's in the works? And who amongst you had anticipation and expectation for what that should be?
Me. I had that.
You, sir.
I did.
Well, we feel the same way. So this is how seriously we're taking on this project. We feel like this is an honor to be doing an extension of the Monsters Incorporated world and kind of working alongside and partner with Pixar and being able to produce this on the television side. And what we've done is this is how we feel about it. This is a little inside baseball since you're here at D23 because you're true fans. We feel like this show is a revolution. It's a revolution in episodic programming. Because a lot of us we built a team that comes from Pixar, from Disney Animation, from television animation, and we merged it all together to try to give Disney Plus something that's unique and special. And that comes straight from Monsters at Work. So this is where we really focused on what Pixar thinks of when they think of filmmaking, which is there is no better business plan than quality. Quality is the best business plan, and that's how we're approaching Monsters at Work. And it starts with the storytelling. Who's a big fan of Pixar's storytelling? It's like no other in the world. So that's where we're launching off. And Bob, why don't you tell them a little about where we're going with the story?
All right, so here we go. And it's cool. One of the things we're doing on the show is we are, as Ferrell mentioned, using a lot of the talent, both from TV animation, from DAS. This is a piece of art done by Jifui, who just a concept art he did about a year ago. He did the main title sequence for Monsters, Inc. So he came on just to do some concept art for the look of the show. As you guys know, at the end of Monsters Incorporated, they had transitioned to Laugh Power. If you really pay close attention, they went to Laugh Power, and then there were a few months that passed. My Mike put Sully's Boo's door back together. Our show is going to take place really almost the day they changed. We're going to meet a character named Tyler Tuskman. Tyler's a scarer. He's a pretty scary guy. He's actually even a little taller than Sully. He's got these really wide horns, makes him really scary, and he pretty confident, thinks he's a pretty good scarer. He's feeling good about life, and he's going to graduate from Monsters University School of Scaring. He's going to graduate Scare Cum Laude. That's my joke. There you go. That's the joke for today. There's many puns that can happen. Yeah, he's going to graduate Scare Cum Laude. He's wanted to be a scarer ever since 4th grade. Shockington Elementary, 4th grade scare play. He made everybody scream. He's had this blood since 4th grade. So he graduates. He's going to be a scarer with the same school Sully went to. Oh my gosh. He shows up for work at Monsters Incorporated and his life gets turned upside down. He shows up the day they changed to Laugh Power. So his whole world is going to get turned upside down. He is going to they don't have scarers anymore. They're going to have what they call jokesters now that work the laugh floor. There's not a lot of them. I think Sanderson, who's still shaved at this point, maybe making some people laugh. Flynn, still wandering around the ground with Jax stuck to himself. So they've taken a lot of the scarers and they've given them sort of jobs at Monsters, Inc. to occupy them while they train them to be comedians. So our character is going to end up in a desk job in what we're calling the Monsters Inc. facilities team. These are the monsters that take care of Monsters Incorporated. So he's going to be working with this facilities team while he's working, hoping someday to work his way up to becoming, he's going to study his jokes, and then hopefully someday work his way up to actually getting the giggle and becoming a jokester. And that's the show. So
it's like it's like a workplace comedy. It's The Office.
Yeah,
wasn't Angela just up here a little while ago? Wasn't that her? That's what I thought. This is like The Office.
So essentially, yeah, we're making a sort of workplace comedy at Monsters Inc. We sort of look at these monsters. You think of the scarers, the jokesters, or the big men on campus. The myth team is sort of the monsters behind the monsters. We look at that. They're just as important. They keep the place running. So that is sort of Monsters at Work. Now, you want to talk about a little bit about? Let's talk a little bit about the sort of making of the show.
So we're doing this at Walt Disney Television Animation that we're really proud of. But again, Pixar has been super open, partnering with us, providing a wealth of knowledge from Peak Doctor and the original team from Monsters Incorporated. So they've shared with us a lot of the great conceptual designs. They kind of started that world and that franchise and passed it along to us, kind of passing the baton so that we can be sure that we're staying true to this franchise. So this is some of the concepts that you see here.
It's kind of cool because we can take, like Dominic Louis, this is a pastel he did for Monsters Incorporated, you know, when they were in production, the previous century, I guess that would be.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
And we're actually getting to take some of these things and start to realize them now. So we're actually going back to some of the artwork they had and realizing some of the things that they didn't have, the story didn't need, the story didn't call for it.
Yeah, they're very excited that this is an opportunity that we're able to actually expand the world more than they were able to do in the original movie. So that's just something that's going to be really fun to watch. And this is kind of how we're going deeper in.
Yeah, and then another thing we're doing, you want to talk about like research, how important research is. We, you want your world to feel real, and in order for it to feel real, it has to be sort of tethered to truth. And so there's nothing, if you're making a show, there's nothing better than sort of boots on the ground at the location your show takes place in as best you can do. So we've taken our team to several power plants or generating stations. You learn stuff, it's a generating station, not a power plant, and taken tours of these places and talked to the people that actually generate power for Los Angeles. And like, how does that work when I turn a light switch on, the light comes on? And what's awesome about this is two things. One is, I look so awesome in a hard hat and a reflective vest. That was one of the great things. But one of the places we went has a 1950s control room that's still in operation. And as you guys know, Monsters Incorporated was remodeled right sort of post-war, mid-century 50s time. So this power station we went to was perfect for kind of inspiring what the control room for Monsters Incorporated might look like. And it's just awesome to be able to sort of walk around. We actually took some of our research up to Pixar and was sharing it with them, and they're like, yeah, that's what it would look like, exactly. And when you go on these research trips, you learn so much about everything that you're talking about. People are so excited to share, and then you learn stuff that you weren't expecting, like, does anybody recognize, this isn't the exact one, but it's one at this power plant. Does anybody recognize this location? You've all seen it before.
Very famous film.
What? Yes? No, you're close. Some people say Simpsons. It's actually Star Wars. They shot the Death Star laser at this power plant and used the electrical control room as the controls for the Death Star. Who'd have thunk? Has nothing to do with Monsters at Work, but it's just awesome and cool to know that. Moving on. So again, you go to these power plants and you see like, what do all those buttons do? It's insane when you walk around these things. You think the amount of energy and pipes and everything, and that's exactly what Monsters Inc. would be. It's a huge facility, would have all of these things to sort of going around and looking at. So our show takes place in Monstropolis as well as Monsters Incorporated. And you know, the thing about the Monsters Inc. world, the monster world, is it's tethered to truth. It's just sort of just 1 degree off from our world. So the characters go to work and they live in apartments and they go get sushi. So that keeps it relatable for the audience. So that you go like, yeah, I'm like them. And then there's just these slight monstrifications of the world. And this is a great example. So when you look at this image, you see Mike and Sully, and then when you start to look more closely, you go, oh, it's a don't stalk sign. Oh, the lamppost has little horns on it. Oh, there's small cars and big cars. The leaves are slightly bat-shaped. There's thorns on the tree. The buildings themselves have a lot of weight the way they're constructed because they have to hold all the weight of all the monsters that are in them, so they have the big sort of steel footings. Even the newspaper machine is like bolted to the ground, so when a monster slams it shut, it doesn't go flying away. And even if you look really closely, even the drain on the street is sort of almost like a toenail. So what happens when you design a monster, when you're working in the Monsters Inc. world, is you want to have a lot of fun in the world, but the first thing you guys saw when you saw this image was Mike and Sully. You saw the characters. You don't want to do anything to take away from the characters. The world has to complement them, not be the star. The star are your friends you've come to watch and spend time with. Props too.
Props. So this is a monstrous world, so you want to be in the truth of reality, but you want to do things specifically designed for those monstrous characters. So obviously you see like the stool has multiple casters on it because of the weight of some of these
Those
characters.
guys are heavy.
Big characters, big coffee cups. The little cart up there has one eye, one headlight, and that came again from some of these inspirational drawings from Harley Jessup, who is a very important art director at Pixar himself.
So again, mining the development art from Monsters Inc. and MU to inspire the designs in our world. Props have to be sort of big and bulky when you're using them, a little monsterified, but not too monstery, because you want to keep, want to be able to go like, oh, that's a tool chest. There's going to be the laugh floor now instead of the scare floor, so we're going to have plenty of props they'll be using as they try to figure out how to make humans laugh,
Yeah, the jokes. It's jokes now.
It's jokes, that's right. And the telephone is a great example of a prop and how the Monsters Inc. world is bulky enough to be big for a monster. It's not too play school. It's been simplified slightly. Again, it's bolted to the desk, so when the monster slams the phone, it doesn't go flying off. And again, sort of scratched up and stuff. So you just kind of find the sweet spot between kind of monsterified but familiar.
Yeah, another thing kind of inside baseball that we're doing that's really fun and different is that we're building a lot of, for those of you who are animation nerds like ourselves, loves the animation process. So a lot of it is, we start off in 2D and drawing, and then we go into 3D. So we're building these what we call proxy sets, and then we're putting them into a game engine called Unity, if you guys are familiar with Unity. It gives our board artists a chance to actually fly through the sets, just like a video game, and set up cameras and take camera shots so that when they're drawing, they're actually using some of the camera framing and things that we want, because it's about, again, elevating, getting that visual storytelling, kind of a filmatic feel, if you will, to the series. So it's another step. This is a tool that we're using to, again, get it to another level, kind of this premium quality, again, that you're hopefully going to get at D+ and D+ alone when it comes to this kind of merchandise.
And again, sort of rebuilding Monstropolis there, but then when you go in to get to the details, you start to have fun, the monsterification of things, doors for little monsters and big monsters, all the sort of hardware would may have two handles and stuff like that. So you go in there and you have a lot of fun in the details. We will go new places in the show, Monstropolis. There is an episode where we're going to go to a creepy stadium and see a Monsters baseball game. Of course, there's 4 bases instead of 3. It's just slightly off from our world. Like, I get it. I think they pitch 3 balls at once, and the bat has 3 things. But other than that, so it's familiar, but just a little off, and it's a lot of fun. When you go to Monstropolis Creepy, you can get merchandise at Monstropolis Creepy Stadium.
Come back in 2 years, you'll be able to buy this stuff.
Yeah. So the Monstropolis Creepies, and TJ Clausen is one of their big players there on the right. Anyway, I gotta get one of those hats. It's just a virtual hat right now, but we should make these hats.
I'm telling you, 2 years.
But of course, Monstropolis is the location, but we're also going to spend the majority of the time at Monsters Incorporated. And again, as Pixar has shared with us all the development art from Monsters Inc. of the spaces they created, and we are going to expand into new locations. One of those main new locations is the Monsters Inc. facilities team, the MIFT department, which we're still in the works of designing right now. I'll show you a little bit of it, I think. Here we go. So that's the back of the rotunda. There's the employee center, and then the facilities team area we were looking at putting right across from there.
And all of those little triangle buildings you saw there, those are the laugh floors.
Yeah.
There's multiple laugh floors. That's something that we didn't really actually realize when we started. And a lot of misconceptions, people think that the big tall building is the laugh floor. No, that's
the door vault.
the door vault, where the millions of doors of children from around the world live.
And from a scale standpoint, if you actually built the door vault on planet Earth, it would be the biggest structure on the planet. When you actually figure it out, it's gigantic.
You can see it from space. Yep.
Across on that is the Employee Center. Monsters Inc. is a big company with a lot of employees, so we're going to have an Employee Center. This is like the backside of the rotunda where you walk in. It is a workplace comedy, so we're going to have a workplace, because that's what you need in a workplace comedy. And so we're starting to work on the space that they work in at Monsters Inc. So we have to lay out our space, and we'll have break rooms and all the kind of fun of developing what a Monsters break room would look like and things like that. There's an early color concept for the interior of this space, and an early design of our main character that we don't have anymore. We'll talk about that briefly.
And I'll say that's important, because we really want, again, for the storytelling part, if this is a workplace comedy, we want to make this situational comedy, like a sitcom, like really focus in on this one specific group in this one area, and just the fun quirks, the relationships of this dynamic group of very diverse bunch of characters, and the relations that they have, and just the situations that they get into on every episode.
Yeah, so we have one of our characters who's a machinist, and she's going to be working in this machine shop. So this is going to be her area. You'll notice like there's a track on the top here for repairing door frames. So they have a system here when a door frame breaks, they bring it in. They don't work on the doors. That would be the door division. That's like a whole different department.
That's another series.
Yeah, the door division. We have to get started on that. A lot of our show is going to take us underground, like the underground tunnels at Disneyland, the access hallways. There's going to be a lot of access hallways beneath Monsters Incorporated, where our characters are going to be working on all the sort of mechanisms that run Monsters Inc. This is like you can see one of the door tracks running through here. Again, some new locations. We are going to. This was Waternooses' office, and Mike and Sully are going to be moving into there. Sully is going to be the CEO of Monsters Incorporated, and Mike, let me see if I can get this right, it's going to be the Chief Executive Vice Deputy Administrative Director of Comedy Resources Management. He made his own title up.
Give it up. That was, I don't remember that title.
I can't believe I did that. Yeah.
But this is what's cool, as Bob was saying, this is almost the true sequel to the original film, because it's taking place immediately following. So if you start from the pilot episode and move forward, you're going to begin to see the transition of Waternooses' office, because he was just carted away from that first episode. So you're going to see them slowly kind of morph this office into their own. So you're going to see things change.
What else we got? Oh, a bowling alley, because watching Monsters Bowl, that'll be fun. So there is a bowling alley in the Employee Center. We have a bowling episode. There's got to be a Mike Wazowski ball joke there, I'm thinking. Or even better, a Big Wazowski joke.
Oh, he's full of it.
It writes itself. Anyway, so it's going to be a lot of fun. It's like the team. So part of the fun of doing a series is like great storytelling, great comedy, but we're here for animation, right? Animators want to animate. It's a lot of fun. Everybody coming up with all the different kinds of monsters would bowl. You guys remember, in Monsters U, the little guy? It takes a long time to bowl. It takes a long time to get to the lane. So everybody's having a lot of fun. Oh, There's gonna be a video game in the bowling alley, because bowling alleys have video game, Sock Attack.
It's classic.
1,000-point Argyle bonus round, I think, on that.
You'll definitely have that on your phone at some point.
Everyone's competing for the high score on Sock Attack, all the monsters. What else we got? Oh. Puns!
More and more.
A great way to expand the world and give horizons to your world is through signage. If we all go out into and just here, drive down the street, you see a lot of signs. That makes the world feel real and has texture. And you can really create things that we might not ever go to, but we know they're out there. So it's a lot of fun coming up with the sort of signage for the show. That makes sense? And as they rebrand to Laugh Power, they will sort of be filling the hallways with laugh posters to sort of inspire people. Because remember, it isn't what you don't do, it's what you do. So it's very important, these inspirational posters. Wait a second. All right. Talking about characters.
Yeah, we want to use, I mean, again, it's a big world. We have 2 movies to pull from, so we're going to be pulling as many characters as we can from the films. But again, more importantly, we're going to be building our own characters. This myth group is going to be our core group that we have a chance to completely create from ground up. We're going to be really dynamic with a great voice cast that's going to be up there to support them. But it's just, again, you look at that, it's just such a great variety in this world.
Yeah, you'll be spending time with all of your familiar, all your friends. Some of your friends are going to be special appearances by characters, but we're really focused on this new group of characters we're going to meet. This is Tyler Tuskman, but it actually isn't Tyler. We went through about 1,000 drawings looking for our main character, and we worked it, and we worked it, and we worked it, and then we finally came up with this, a 4-armed character. This was a point when he had grown up in a hardware store and was dreaming of becoming a jokester. This is before the story changed a little bit. We thought, oh, a guy with 4 arms would be a good mechanic, so he could hold the flashlight and hold the screw and screwdriver and stuff like that. So that was great, but then we just killed that because we decided it really wasn't working for our story, and we went back and looked at some of those drawings we did. Never throw a drawing away, right? And we found this great drawing that everybody likes, and so we started working on another design. Some of you might have seen this. This got tweeted out at one point.
This summer, this got released.
Yeah, as the character of Tyler Tuskman, and we all liked that. He was thin and bright-eyed. I just related to him and everything. But no, we actually ended up killing that one too. This is what happens when you work on a series and you want to get it right.
This is real time, man. This is real time. We're making changes daily.
Because when you're working on a feature with Pixar, DAS, Disney Plus here, story drives your choices. You know, what your character wants to do is going to drive your story, and your story is going to drive your choice. Story drives the art, it drives everything. Everything is there to serve the story. So we really, when we had come up with this new sort of direction of having the show take place the day of, and have it being a scare, we knew we needed to change out the design. So we kind of came up with the design that we saw earlier of Tyler, a sort of monster. He's about 22 years old and just graduating from
Monsters University.
And I think you guys may have known.
Ben Feldman.
It's Ben Feldman from Superstore is playing Tyler, and he's doing an awesome job. We're having a great time with Ben.
And his mother, Millie, is coming in to support him. And this, we're super excited to have Aisha Tyler. Those who are familiar with her, is coming in to play the voice of Millie.
Yeah, Millie is Tyler's mother and father kind of have a couple points of view. His father is very much like old school, like, oh, that laughter thing's gonna be a fad, screaming's coming back, and Millie's much more progressive and supportive of this idea that laughter is a better power source. So there's kind of a family dynamic going on there. Oh yeah, and we have Aisha Tyler playing Millie. It's awesome, cool. So I think this went out on Friday as a sort of image of him graduating from Monsters University. Tyler. And
yes. It would not be Mike and Sully if it wasn't for Billy and John.
So yeah, they're both back to reprise their roles of Mike and Sully. They'll be making special appearances in the show. As I said, you know, this is the day it changed. Sully is like overwhelmed. We're in charge of Monsters Incorporated. Mike Wazowski is like, this is awesome. I'm gonna give myself a raise. It's all perfect, working out for him. And what's great about these two characters is we kind of discovered that our character kind of represents, these characters represent our character's want and need. He wants to be a jokester like Mike Wazowski, but he needs to find his place in this new order of Monsters Inc. like Sully. So these characters both kind of connect to our main character since they represent a couple different points of view of Tyler Tuskman. And that, ladies and gentlemen,
that is Monsters at Work. But here's the deal. The reason you're here under this booth, the only place you're going to see this is at Disney Plus. So get your discount. Go sign up today. It's coming. November. You won't see this in November. Still, we're determining when this is going to release.
We're still working on it.
But Disney Plus. That's your one-stop shop for this premium content. All right?
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much, guys.
Appreciate it.
See you later.